CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
Good evening, I'm Andrew Johnson. Hudson Mack is off tonight. A 26-year-old Victoria man accused of killing a Saanich man in August has been released and murder charges against him have been stayed. Police swarmed a building in the 700 block of Cormorant Street the evening of August 3rd after receiving a 911 call that a man was injured. Joshua Bradu and Daniel Levesque were rushed to hospital. Levesque died several hours later. Police say his death sparked an extensive investigation led by the Vancouver Island Integrated Major Crime Unit. But evidence has surfaced that has led Crown Counsel and investigators to conclude it was not likely Bradu would be convicted.
You know, it certainly is going to change how the investigation unfolds, but the detectives are still determined to look through all the evidence and still gather as much as they can. So it's far from over, and the detectives will be hard at work on it.
Victoria police say investigators are also working to support the family of Daniel Levesque in the aftermath of his tragic death. The 20-year-old Levesque had recently moved to the island from Revelstoke. Police shut down part of a Saanich neighborhood last night and evacuated a number of homes after a man believed to have firearms barricaded himself inside a house. The area around the 3800 block of Mildred Street and Burnside Road was behind police tape for most of the night. Police say they were doing surveillance on the home and were planning to arrest the man inside. He refused to come out, barricading himself instead. Police say the man has a history of weapons-related offenses, so police took no chances.
On my way home from college, and the police officer stopped me and said that it's going to be a while. A little nervous, quite honestly, a little scared for my family since it's so close.
Unfortunately, the occupants of the house were uncooperative with our investigators, so that's why this became a bit of a protracted situation, and we involved the emergency response team.
Police also brought in a transit bus to give evacuees a warm, safe place. A negotiator was called in, and eventually the man and another occupant of the house came out.
There was two that were inside. One we intended to arrest, and the other was a family member. So again, it ended peacefully, and the neighborhood is now back to normal.
Police arrested a 21-year-old Saanich man who is well known to them. Officers spent several hours searching the home. Police say the man is facing weapons-related charges. And 3 other men spent the night in police custody after a massive drug raid. Saanich and Victoria police were busy at 3 separate locations. A search warrant was carried out in the 4200 block of Kincaid Street. A short time earlier, police pulled over a car on Quadra Street and Tolmie Avenue. Officers had to smash out windows to arrest people inside the vehicle. Victoria police were also searching a home on Fisgard Street linked to the investigation. All 3 people were arrested as part of a 4-month-long drug investigation.
This was resource intensive. We have taken 3 people into custody who are well known to the police. All of them local males, 2 from Saanich and 1 from Victoria. And the investigation really does continue. We have officers at those 2 locations still conducting a search. I am told the preliminary search results include the recovery of 5 firearms. All of these are extremely concerning firearms because they appear to be fully automatic weapons to our investigators. And apparently they have silencer type attachments to them as well.
Police say they also seized a large quantity of cocaine ready for the streets. The 3 men are facing drug and weapons charges. The province is pumping more than $1 million into South Vancouver Island to enhance skills training in the workforce. As part of the BC Jobs Plan, the government is investing $1.4 million into 7 new skills training programs in Victoria. Camosun College and Royal Roads University are receiving grants to help prepare people for the labor force. A number of different courses will be available, including training for the maritime industry, online project management, and Aboriginal housing design. The Employee Skilled Access Initiative will provide eligible people with tuition-free group-based training at public post-secondary institutions to prepare them for re-entry into the labor force. All the programs available will vary from city to city depending on job shortages and demand.
What we're trying to do here is to ensure that regions in BC have input into what skills or what employment they're finding are having trouble finding to fill, and people who have been have not accessed EI are eligible to apply for tuition-free programs.
Participants in the ESA programs must be unemployed and not have drawn from employment insurance in the past 3 years. The third sea turtle in the past 2 weeks has washed ashore on Vancouver Island. On Wednesday, another green sea turtle was found stranded on a beach in Pacific Rim National Park Reserve. The young male was discovered in poor condition by visitors and was immediately transported to the Vancouver Aquarium. It's unknown what exactly is bringing the turtles onto BC's shores. The turtles are native to Mexico and Hawaii. Marine biologists say water temperatures quickly drop in the fall, and the cold currents can stun the turtles into a coma-like state.
It's been basically laid out. It doesn't have a heartbeat, but we're still checking it to make sure that it's alive as we warm it back up. But basically the animal is what we call cold stun. And so that means that the temperature dropped on it in the environment. It got so cold that the animal couldn't survive anymore, or at least couldn't move around anymore. It was non-functional and probably drifted into the coast. And this is pretty typical for tropical turtles.
Any sightings of live, free-swimming sea turtles and cetaceans should be reported to the BC Cetacean Sightings Network at 1-866-I-SAW-1. As Christmas nears, the Centennial Square ice rink will be extending its ice time. Starting next week, the rink will be open for longer hours, 3 days a week. On Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, you'll be able to bust out some triple axles from noon to 8. Because everyone knows how to do those, right? Rink admission is just $2, and skate rentals are available for $5 a pair. The rink will remain open until January 2nd. In the first 5 days of operation, the rink had more than 1,000 visitors. Comox Valley RCMP have spent 2 days searching a rural property in Royston after receiving what they hoped was a hot tip in a cold case. The search was linked to the disappearance of Lindsay Nichols, who went missing at the age of 14 in 1993. No trace of Nichols has ever been found, but her mother Judy and RCMP investigators have never given up. In September, police reached out to media and the public looking for new leads. Soon after, a tip came in that led investigators to the property. They searched it Monday and Tuesday with full cooperation from the property's owners, who have no connection to the owner at the time of Lindsay's disappearance. They say they came away empty-handed and did not find any evidence connected to the case. A Nanaimo man who was killed in an ATV accident last month has been propelled to the very top of the world rankings for Movember fundraising. Garrett Poquette was just 11 days into his Movember campaign when he was killed in a tragic accident near Lanceville. His grieving family and friends decided to honor his memory by continuing the campaign, urging people to donate to prostate cancer charities as a lasting legacy for Garrett. His fundraising total is now more than $116,000. He's raised more than anyone else in the world.
He's got a lot of friends and family and business associates all over Vancouver Island, and family in Paul River, and people in Vancouver. We had one person as far away as Turkey. One of his friends was in Turkey. Emailed him a couple of days ago and supported him from Turkey.
When Garrett's total jumped into top spot, his family and friends celebrated, saying they know he would have been honored to have achieved such a high fundraising total.
Everybody was just pulling for him, and I heard stories of people cheering in rooms all over the place yesterday when they found that Garrett was #1. So it's pretty nice. Pretty nice.
Garrett's Movember team was made up of colleagues from RBC. They will continue Movember as an annual tradition, their team named in honor of Garrett. Well, fundraising is also stepping up for food banks on Vancouver Island. Today, an employee at Coastal Community Credit Union in Nanaimo shaved her head as a fundraiser for loaves and fishes. Amy Dodds raised $2,000 in pledges. The food bank says the money is a huge help, especially at this time of year.
It goes a long way to helping us provide food to families. This Christmas season, we're expecting over 2,000 families to be accessing our Christmas hamper program that we do in conjunction with the Salvation Army. So $2,000 is a really big impact for us.
Dodds says she chose to raise money for the food bank after attending a presentation on how Loaves and Fishes serves the community.
It's a great cause. We looked into different people to raise money for, and this is definitely somebody who's in need right now. That you know, they came in and they gave us a morning meeting explaining like how many people actually use it on a week-to-week basis, and I think what was it, 800 to 1,200 people a week, and 300 to 600 children out of that.
All that hair won't go to waste. Amy is donating it to Locks of Love, a nonprofit group that provides wigs to children and teens who have lost their hair due to cancer or other medical conditions. A group of dedicated volunteers waded into the Chase River near Nanaimo today to tear apart a logjam of debris and clear the way for spawning salmon. Volunteers with the Harbour City River Stewards first noticed the river was clogging up about a month ago with fallen logs that were collecting debris and garbage. So they spent a few hours waist deep in the problem, clearing the tangle and, more importantly, creating a channel for hundreds of spawning chum. The salmon were trapped downstream from their spawning beds, but thanks to the volunteers, were soon on their way.
Towards the end, while we're doing it, we could feel some squirming and wiggling down by our legs, and the chum were starting to come through already. So after we were done, we stood back on the bank, and where the fish were just milling around in a circle at the bottom, they were now all lining up, and they were just like soldiers ready to march on through the channel.
Now, after cleaning up the river for the chum run, the stewards noticed a new clog getting in the way of about 200 coho salmon returning to the river. They say the log jam in the river appears to have built up over time, and from now on will need to be monitored.
That it doesn't, like there's a block that's catching some stuff on it. The bigger ones will catch smaller stuff, and it'll end up jamming off just like it did before and stop the whole migration. I think we're okay this year as long as you don't get a whole bunch of rain on it.
The Harbour City River Stewards are planning to return to the river in the summer ahead of next year's salmon run. Before we leave, all of us here at CTV Vancouver Island would like to wish our editor and camera op for the past 6 years, Brad McLeod, the best of luck in his new position at CTV Calgary. Applause. We're going to miss you, Brad. Here are the names of the people who bring you CTV News 7 nights a week. Have a great weekend.